Welcome to Vintage Gaming Memories. Shall we play a game?
Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. So check this out. I picked this up at a local antique shop for $20. I think this came out probably in the late 90s. It's from Godinger Silver Art Company. It's a silver-plated metal holder with a rotary-based telephone at the bottom. And then there's these 6 extending metal clips to hold either like notes, postcards, or photos, or whatever you like. Now, the first thing I always do is clean and polish. So check this out now. Pretty good, right? So I removed all the patina, and I have to say, this looks pretty awesome. And it took some time to get it like this, but man, it's well worth it. Am I going to put notes or postcards or photos on these clips? Nope. Now, this is what I had in mind when I bought this. I'm going to put my gaming patches on it. I don't really have that many patches, but I have to say, it's going to look a lot better having it clipped on this vintage rotary phone rather than having it, I think I just had it sitting on top of my collection at places here and there, nothing really kind of organized. Let's take a look how this is going to look when I clip it on there. All right, check it out. What do you guys think? I think it looks pretty good. Now, before I had these patches wedged behind the letters of this game room sign. And, eventually they just started to fall because of its weight and gravity, of course. So a change was definitely needed. But now I think this looks a lot better. And I can obviously put more than one patch on each of those clips. So that can grow. But anyways, just thought that was a little cool pickup. I think it fits the theme of this Atari collection I have right over here. All right, back to the workshop. Now, those patches were usually given when you achieve a high score. So what do you think could be in this box? Here it is. This is a 1983 VPI high score model HS-15 Tournament Master joystick for the Atari, Coleco, and Commodore systems. In case you're wondering what does VPI stand for in the name of the company, it stands for Video Peripherals Incorporated. And the reason I got this joystick was because back in January of 2024, I made a video on this joystick sibling, which is the model HS-20. Now, if you haven't seen that video, check it out, because I do end up opening it up, and I fix it so it works perfectly. Now, for this one, it was listed as being good condition, but sold as is, and hardware has not been tested, so it may or may not work. So this is going to be kind of fun to find out. Right away, I can tell you one thing that's good is the button for this joystick. On that HS-20, this button was pressed down and would not go up, and that was one of the problems. So this one at least doesn't have that issue. Now let's do a quick exterior examination of this before I even go any further. The pictures online were pretty good, and it looks just like it was shown. Obviously, no batteries necessary for this, but I just want to make sure the physical exterior looks decent. I mean, a little bit of fading, definitely has to be cleaned up and polished. There's Tournament Master, you can barely make it out. It's kind of like embossed on the plastic. And this is an auxiliary input. And the bottom, you got some tension adjustments, looks like. I like that the rubber pads are on it, so at least we know that's all intact. I don't hear anything shaking. So what I'm going to do now is what I always do with my items that I get, is clean it up and then polish it, come back and try to go ahead and play a game or two and see how this works, and also go over the functions. And actually, I'll do a comparison with the HS-20 with the HS-15 to see what differences we might notice. So I'll be back in 1 second. All right, here it is, all clean and polished. Now, this wasn't really too bad to clean. The cord was probably the hardest part because of all the buildup, and of course the challenge of getting this curly cord cleaned up. You know, you had to kind of just spray it and go little by little and just go on both sides of it with the nice microfiber cloth that I used with the spray of my Novus product line. Specifically this one here, the Clean, Shine, and Protect. And like I use this with everything with plastic, and it does a great job. So I think it turned out really good, actually. Now, before we do a comparison with its sibling, the HS-20, let's get some dimensions and the weight of this. Starting with the length, we'll go this way, left to right. It's a little bit over 9 inches. I'd say about 9 and maybe an eighth of an inch. The width is about 4 7/8, just shy of 5 inches. And then the height of the base is about 2 inches. To the top of the joystick with the fire button, we're looking at about 5 3/4 inches. Now, as far as the weight goes, this will be pretty interesting because it is weighted and it has some good weight to it. So we'll go and turn this on. We'll keep it at pounds and ounces. And let's see what this thing racks up. Wow, 2 pounds and 7 ounces. Pretty heavy for a joystick. So let's bring the brother next to this one and see exactly if there are any visual differences we can spot right away. All right, well, first of all, outside of the actual appearance of it, you know, the color, obviously there's a difference in that all around, but the functionality appears to be the same. But I was able to find some key differences on the appearance other than the color. So if you look at the wording for the HS-20, you're going to go here and see that the underneath auto fire, it has Atari VCS. But on the HS-15, it just says auto fire. Also on the mode switch for the HS-20, and that is it right here, you have an option for either to the left, which is Coleco, or the right, which is for the Atari VCS. Now on the HS-15, it's the left for Coleco, or the right for Atari VCS or Commodore. So Commodore was added. And that's pretty much it as far as the differences that I could tell from the top. Both of these have an auxiliary input here. These are 9-pin, and you can see it on the HS-20. The side auxiliary port still serves that same purpose, to have that option for you to plug in a 9-pin keyboard or a trackball or maybe another controller, just so that you don't have to unplug this controller from the console that you're using. It'll just all have it connected in line, which is a pretty nice thing. Now let's check the bottom out, because there are some differences there. Actually, just one key difference on the bottom. We'll start with the HS-20, and it's pretty plain. Nothing much to see there, right? Except for the rubber pads. On the HS-15, there is a difference, and it's right here. So we have on the HS-15, you have 4 tension adjustments you can go ahead and utilize for your joystick. On the HS-20, you would see it right here, but you don't have them. However, if you open this up, which I have, you can adjust it from the inside. But this is a nice convenience that you can go ahead and do it without having to open up the actual joystick case. Now you might be asking, what does a tension adjustment really do for you with this joystick? Basically, it lets you make the joystick tension feel either stiff and tight or maybe softer. So it depends on the way you play the game. If you like it to be more flexible moving around, well, then you want to loosen this up and adjust it. And there's 4 corners to do that. Or if you want it nice and stiff and really tight, well, you want to have it probably where it's set at the factory, which is set perfectly, supposedly, for a nice arcade feel. All right, let's go ahead and just focus on the HS-15 now that we've seen the differences between that one and the 20. So we'll put this away to the side for now. Now, these controllers are really top-notch with how they're made. I can definitely attest to that firsthand, because I did open that HS-20 and had to do some work on it, but I saw how it was all laid out, It had really nice leaf switches that were inside of it that were commercial grade. The controllers are nicely weighted, as we already measured the weight of it. And that really is a big key because it's nice and heavy and sturdy. So if you have it on your lap, it's not going to go anywhere. Or if you put it on a countertop or a tabletop, it'll pretty much be sturdy and allow you to have a nice gameplay. Also, they made this where the controller, the joystick, and the fire button is 6 inches apart. And that's for better hand movement. So that was thought about, which is pretty nice. So let's take a little bit closer look at the functions and see exactly what they do and how you would utilize it with this particular joystick. We'll start on the left side and work our way towards the right. So with this joystick here, you have an 8-directional joystick. It has an arcade regulation size gripper ball with an auto fire button on top. And we'll get to more of that in a little bit. This is a really nice and rigid feel to it. I'm moving it around. You don't have much movement to it, but you can hear it making contact in every direction. This is pretty cool. It's really going to be really nice and responsive if this actually works. These high score controllers are actually recommended to have at least 10 hours of playtime to break them in before you even consider adjusting those tension screws on the bottom. Next to the joystick, we have this auto fire control, which will allow you to adjust the rate of fire when you press the auto fire button down. And that's going to be very useful in certain games. Now, as we work our way towards the center, we have this left/right-handed player selector switch. And what this does is it allows you to use your left hand or your right hand for the joystick. And then obviously your other hand would be used for the fire button. In the position that this is right now, you'd be using your left hand for the joystick and your right hand for the fire button. So you'd want this switch to be for left-handed, which would be towards the left. Now, if you would prefer it to be your right hand for the joystick and your left hand for the fire button, it's pretty simple. All you do is switch it to the right for right-handed and turn this around. There you go. Pretty cool. I think that's really awesome because, you know, you might be a right-handed person, but you might want to have it to be left-handed as far as the controller in your left hand. So if you had this type of joystick, you're going to have to resort to using your right hand for the joystick and then your left hand thumb for the button. And maybe you don't really feel comfortable with that. What if you want to use your right thumb and your left hand? You can't really do that, or else your directions are all going to be screwed up. So this is a pretty cool feature, having that on a joystick. Now below this left and right-handed controller switch, we have another one, and this one here is a mode switch, which you can toggle between the Atari and Commodore or the Coleco. Now to the left of the switches, we have this red LED light, which is for the auto fire indicator. Now how that works is that this will light up as you press down the auto fire button, and it will light up more rapidly depending upon how you adjusted the control rate for the auto fire. And it's going to be very useful for adjusting that rate of speed, and we'll see that a little bit more once we have this all connected. And then the last thing we can see here is this manual fire button. It is a regulation size fire button, and it has a really nice feel to it when you press down on it. So that will be a nice little thing to test out as well once we get this all connected. And probably well worth mentioning is this super long coiled cord that was a pain to clean, but when you look at it and you stretch it out, this thing measures 12 feet. So you get some great distance from your console with this joystick to your lap or wherever you're going to have this thing situated. Now there is one more thing I wanted to do before I test this out. I noticed it when I was cleaning it, and I think I noticed that with the HS-20 as well. And that is, well, first on this one, you can see there's kind of like little, I don't know, little markings, I guess, and you can feel it. It's like a little bit of a surface abrasions on these areas here. I think it's on this side as well. But if you look closely on it, which you probably can't tell from the camera view, but I can definitely see it, that this is probably a film that's covering it to protect it. Now on the HS-20, I know it had it on at least one of the sides. I'm not sure if both sides had it, but I peeled it off and it looked awesome. So I'm going to do the same with this one. I could see it working its way right here. I was pulling it a little bit, and I'll just pull this off and we'll see how that looks. No turning back after I pull it off, that's for sure. Okay, here we go. "40 years of protective film It looks great. Definitely needed to peel this off. It was doing its job protecting it, and I think it's now time to breathe. We'll do the same on the other side. I'll give you a closer view. You could see some of the, I guess you can see it right there. It looks like it's all scratched up, but it's just really the plastic that's over it. So let's start this one off as well and peel it off. I know some people prefer not to peel it, but you know what? It's only going to get worse. It might actually be harder to peel off in another 10 years. So here it goes. That looks great. All right, now we are ready to try this out and make sure it works because, again, I haven't even plugged this in to see if it works. It looks like it should work. The seller didn't say it works or not, so we'll find out shortly. I am going to set this up with my Atari 800XL, and I'll look for a game that can benefit from the rapid fire button so we can see that cool feature at work on this joystick. So give me 1 second to set it up, and all right, we're all set. I have the high score HS-15 connected to the 800XL, and we're going to boot this thing up in FujiNet. And I think the best game to use is going to be Choplifter. I say that because I can actually just not have to rush the gameplay to show you the differences on the fire buttons. Whereas other games, I'll be probably losing my life if I try to do that. All right, here we go. Now that the controller is plugged into the 800XL, this light, this LED light, should light up if I press the rapid fire button here. Let's just see if it works. And you can see it blinks. It all depends on the rate that's set on this auto fire indicator. So I'm going to put it to the lowest or the slowest response, which I think is clockwise. So now it should be really slow response. I know we won't see it in the game yet, but I want to see the lights blinking really slow. You can see how slowly it's blinking. I'll hold the button down as I continue to change the rate here, going counterclockwise, and you can see it speeding up. If I keep going, it should be solid red, which means it's just rapid firing. And you can see it really blinking fast. And eventually it is solid red. So we know that the light works. We know the fire button itself on the joystick is activating the auto fire, so that's great. This is the manual fire, which you're not going to see anything with the light because it has nothing to do with the auto fire. It's just your regular fire button. We are already selected on Atari, of course. We're using the, we'll go right-handed, and left hand will be for the fire button. So let's go and put this back down to the slowest speed, start the game, and I'm going to take that helicopter up. So at least know the joystick does work up and down. Let's go left and right. Looks good. Diagonal. Looks great. So control itself works awesome. Let's check out this fire button, which I think rotates the actual helicopter if you hold it down. You have 3 positions, and you can also fire. So that works. And the firing, you can see. So let's now try the auto fire. This will be fun. Let me go ahead and reposition it. And we'll go ahead and just press the auto fire button down, and you'll see the rate. This is actually the fastest position right now, I guess. I didn't put it to slowest. Let's go the other direction. Okay, this should be the slowest speed. You see that? Now, if I just turn this while holding the button down, you'll see it increase. So that's going to be the fastest it could go. Now let's try this with some gameplay. So I am going to go and just probably aim at an angle down, and I'll press the fire button. Let's see if I can do this without crashing. Pretty cool. I'll slow it down. See, slow. It's a lot slower like that. If I turn it up, pretty crazy. So that's a really cool feature. We'll go head on. That's the fastest it can go. I'll slow it down. So that seems to work. The control itself works. The fire button for manual firing works. The rapid fire or the auto fire works, as well as the selector on how the speed should go for the rapid fire works. Left hand, right hand. Let's try the other side. So we'll switch it around. We'll slide this to left hand now. And let's see if that controls correctly. It does. Going to the left, right, up, down, and the fire button. Excellent. So this seems to be a really good working joystick, and it feels really rigid, which is awesome. It's almost like it hasn't been broken in. I have really good control. I kind of think of this like a manual shifter in a car. You know, some people like a short throw shifter where you barely need to move it to get it into a gear, whereas others may like a long throw or a standard shifter, which gives you a more smoother but longer shift experience. I myself like it that this stick is tight and short on the movement. So this looks great. Now, what's left to do is just to go ahead and wrap this up, put it on the shelf. But before I do that, there is something that came in today. Well, actually it came in yesterday, and it only came in via me picking it up on Facebook Marketplace. So let me show you what that is. Yes, it involves this patch holder. So I coincidentally was able to get my hands on these two cool looking embroidered patches. And this was from the other day. I got them on Facebook Marketplace. Just happened to be looking, not really looking for patches, but these were there. Just couldn't pass them up. These are still in great condition, unopened. I mean, yeah, there's a staple on it. It looks like it came from Kmart, but it definitely has not been opened. I mean, you could have opened it, I guess, and restapled it, but you'd have to get it right in the exact hole. And I don't think anybody did that. But anyways, these are pretty cool. Check them out. They're from Midway and with Joy insignia. They came out in 1982. These are awesome looking. So anyways, had these two patches. I figured, why not add it to this growing patch tree? So I'm going to go ahead and get these two on this tree and see how it looks. Okay, there we go. All set and definitely room for more. Well, that will do it for this video. We started with the Godinger silver-plated rotary telephone picture holder, and then moved to the 1983 VPI high-score HS-15 Tournament Master joystick, and then back to the picture, or actually you could probably call that a patch holder, with these two new additions. I really do appreciate your time for checking this out. Comment down below and let me know what you guys think of these items. Maybe these bring back some type of memories. Thanks again for watching, and remember, keep your gaming passion from the past alive by living it today. Take care, everyone.